Hello and welcome back to the Korean Beauty Show podcast for 2022. I am so excited to be back with you guys. As you know, I have been taking a short break over the Christmas holiday period. We've been running some of our old episodes over the break. So if you didn't tune in for those, welcome back. If you did, you'll probably be thinking, oh, well, I haven't had a break from your voice, but I have had a break and I am feeling great. So I had an absolutely lovely holiday. This is actually the first time I've sort of taken time off from the podcast since we started pretty much. So that was actually kind of nice because I had time to think about what I want to do for the show in 2022, some of the things that I want to talk about and how I want to mix it up a little bit. So this is the plan for this year, guys. What I'm going to do is actually break up our show into 2 different episodes per week. So the plan is to do 2 episodes, one on Tuesday, and that's going to be more of like a highlights reel of, the current news headlines, our question of the week, new product releases and things like that. And then do on the Thursday a deep dive, which is, we've previously been trying to cram them all in together. And what I have been noticing over the course of the last 6 months is just that the episodes are getting longer and longer. And I don't know about you guys, but for one, it's kind of hard for me to just keep talking for like 35 minutes straight. And also, I'm a little bit worried that just might be a little too long to be listening to my voice for you guys in one fell swoop. That's just a lot of content. So look, this is what I'm going to trial. And of course, I am 100% open to your feedback. If you think that's a terrible idea, you don't want to hear 2 episodes a week, you would just like one big one, then obviously come and find me and let me know. I am on the gram at lauren.kbeauty. Always happy to hear your feedback. But that is my plan basically for this year, is to try and break it up. And, that way we can fit in more contents as well and try and have 2 slightly shorter episodes, but with, more interesting, varied topics and contents and things like that, rather than just, the deep dive taking up most of the episode. Because I'm just finding there are just more and more little tidbits of information, news stuff that I want to talk to you guys about, but I am running out of time. So that is my kind of, this is what I'm thinking to try and get over that problem so that I'm not just like talking at you for like 35-40 minutes, is to break it up so that we can just do more, but with a little bit more flexibility and a little bit more time up our sleeves as well, and save my voice a bit more. So if you are joining us for the very first time and you are wondering, who the hell are you? What is this show about? I am K-beauty expert. My name is Lauren Lee, and I am based here on the ground in Seoul, South Korea. I have been since 2016, so you do the maths, it's been a while. I have been working in the industry now for over 10 years, and this show is basically just my place where I can share all of the contents that I have been picking up, things on the industry, what's going on the ground here, product releases, ingredients, anything you can think of that has to do with Korean beauty, Korean skincare, Korean makeup, all of those kind of topics. Obviously, I am also a product manufacturer. I have been manufacturing products with various brands and including my own brand Jellico for years now. So that gives me, I guess, a little bit of a different perspective on the industry as well, just because this is a process that I'm now very intimately familiar with from beginning to end. So how products come onto the market, how we formulate, how we distribute them all over the world. So all of that kind of stuff, that is my jam. That is what I do for a living. And I guess this is just my place to have a chat with you guys about some of that stuff. If you are wanting even more, then we have heaps more places where we also share information. So I mentioned my personal Instagram, which is lauren.kbeauty. My business is obviously Style Story, so you can come and find Style Story. We're on the internet. We have a website, stylestory.com.au. You can feel free to join our Facebook group, which is K-Beauty Down Under. We have a mailing list, and our mailing list is a great place to join if you are interested in product testing opportunities, for example. If you'd like to test out the latest K-Beauty products, share your reviews on them, then get on the list, because that is where we send out our testing application forms. We obviously also do emails about, sales, discounts, all of that sort of thing, new drops, restocks, all of that. And then Style Story has its own Instagram account as well, which is stylestory_kbeauty, I'm pretty sure. So lots and lots of places to stay in touch if this show is just not enough. If for some reason you want even more, then there are plenty of places where you can come and find me, find us, find the business, and find out what we're doing. So look, with that sort of long-winded intro into this year's show, for this week, so this being the first episode, the Tuesday episode, what I'm going to start with is what we normally do on the show, which is the Korean news headlines. That is something we've been doing for a while. So look, this week I found a really, really interesting headline, and it was called "Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, Does Being Fair Mean You Have It All?" And this was basically taking a little bit of a deep dive into a new Netflix show. So it's a Korean reality TV show called Singles Inferno. I'm not sure how many of you guys have seen it yet. I posted it on my stories the other day, and I think about maybe 30-40% of people said that they were watching it. Some people said, well, I wasn't watching it, but now I want to watch it. So look, this is a show that is basically just a version of Love Island, I guess, if you are familiar with that. It's got single men and women. They're on a deserted island trying to find love, just a totally realistic situation to be in. Anyway, so the controversy that this particular news headline was talking about arose because one of the men was discussing his first impressions of one of the female participants, and he repeatedly was saying, oh my gosh, her skin is so light, she seems so white and pure, I love people with light skin. And obviously international viewers, their spidey senses sort of pricked up, and people were like, what? Like, you can't say that. What, that's not okay. And people were saying, it's discriminatory, it's prejudicial, colorist, and all of these kind of things. And this article was just saying, taking a look into where does the Korean preference for pale skin actually come from, and is it racism? And so this was in the Chungang Daily newspaper, and what they were saying is, in their opinion, this is a millennia-old beauty standard, and it doesn't actually have anything to do with racism. What they were saying is that because historically in Korea, only the upper classes could stay pale, the appearance of those in power was considered beautiful. And basically the people that were in power were very light because they didn't have to work in the fields. They compared it to, for example, back in the day, chubbiness was considered a symbol of beauty in many societies because it meant that you had access to food and therefore access to power. So, it's just a different beauty standard. And they were also pointing out that, in fact, pale complexions were also deemed attractive in the West way before tan skin was in. But the key thing that they were saying is that the preference for white skin in Korea predates Koreans coming into contact with Westerners by a long, long time. So it has nothing to do with admiration for Westerners. It doesn't have anything to do with wanting to look white. The Joseon era paintings actually show lots of women with pale skin as being like the beauty ideal. So it's not the roots, I guess, of the preference for pale skin, unlike in many other Asian cultures and other societies, was not based on racism or even classism. And they made a really interesting point, which is that in some Southeast Asian countries and in India, skin color correlates with class. So in India, for example, your social class had to do with your skin color. But in Korea, everyone was the same race. So there weren't different races and there weren't different classes based on the color of your skin. And in fact, if you have a look at the range of skin colors for Koreans, they tend to be much more monolithic. There's not as much variation in the skin colors of native Koreans to start with. So I just thought that was a really interesting article. They were saying, it's not the same as countries, multicultural countries where there was prejudice against people that had darker skin, for example, in the US, a country that has a history of slavery. So they were saying that, commentary about colorism in Korea just doesn't have the same connotations as it does certainly in Western countries, but also in other Asian countries. And I just thought that was really, really interesting. They even had a list of swatches of the most common makeup shades in Korea. And I posted those on my stories as well. I might include them in my highlights reel so that you can check that one out. But, very, very similar colors. And that's just because that is sort of the color range of most Koreans. They did acknowledge basically that, Korean culture, now that it is being internationalized, globalized, the fact that shows like this are on Netflix means that they're going to have to sort of be more mindful about comments like this, but that, to a Korean audience, having a comment like, oh, she seems really white and pure and I have a preference for people with lighter skin, Koreans would not see that as problematic in the same way that other people would see that as problematic, that Australians would see it as problematic, that Indians would see it as problematic, that Americans would see it as problematic. And that is just because of the history of why there is a preference for paler skin in Korea. So that was a really, really interesting article, I thought. And when I shared it, I had a lot of comments from people sort of saying, mentioning the differences in attitudes where they're from. So yeah, really interesting one there. I would love to know, do you have thoughts? What is your thinking? Is it okay for native Koreans on a Korean reality TV show to be talking like this in this day and age? Or is it just like altogether bad? Should we take into account the historical considerations, the fact that Korea didn't have other races in Korea at the time when this kind of beauty standard developed? Like, is that problematic now in 2022, or is that just to be expected? Come and find me and let me know. That is a really interesting topic. Obviously has caused a lot of controversy in the last week, certainly. Are you watching the show? Let me know. I'm always keen to hear you guys' thoughts as well. So the next thing I wanted to discuss with you guys is this week's question of the week. So in our last episode, before we finished up for the break, we were talking about face oils and who should use them. So then, of course, I got a question about, well, okay, if face oils are good, but we need to be careful of our skin type, which oils are the best for which skin type? So really, really great question. And of course, you will remember that we were mentioning how even oily skin can benefit from using a face oil. So let's start off with some recommendations for oilier skin types, because a lot of people with oily skin are just too scared to use an oil on their face. But if you are going to do it, there are so many benefits that you can get from face oils. Stick to things like grapeseed oil, which is actually what we used in Jellicoe's Bubble Tea Steam Cream, because that is actually a good one for people with acne and oily prone skin as well. Rose hip oil is another great one for oily skin. Squalane and also tamanu. So if you are playing around with tamanu, depending on how thick the texture is, you might just want to use it as a spot treatment. That's just a little tip. If you have dry skin, avocado oil, marula oil are two really great ones for you. Aging skin, again, you've got your pick really of the litter. Rose hip, tamanu oil, lots and lots of different options. Combination skin, obviously tamanu oil is another really good one. Grapeseed oil I would also recommend. So just have a play around, I guess. Depending on your skin type, there are different products. You'll also notice that with a lot of beauty oils these days, they're more than just one type of oil. So It's and Tree has a really, really lovely product that I'm using at the moment. It's called a watery beauty oil, and that's got a whole blend of different oils in it. That one is just a godsend. I'm really, really enjoying that. But there are also the single blend oils as well. So that would be just your rose hip. So you might want to have a try, test out a few and see which works for your skin type, see which plays nicely. The other thing is obviously how are you layering it or using it in your routine. Me personally, I am putting on my oil before my moisturizer, but we spoke on the show last year about the fact that some people do it after their moisturizer. Some people put a few drops in, lots and lots of different ways that you can actually use oils in your routine. So yeah, jump on board the oil train if you're not on it already, particularly for winter. Honestly, a godsend. It makes such a difference to have an oil in your routine in winter. Definitely if you have dry and mature skin as well. I would say a must for the drier and mature types. I think oils are so good. The trick is just to find one that works for you, that you enjoy using, that you like the scent of. Obviously, a lot of these oils do have a scent to them. So if it just doesn't gel with you and it's not the kind of thing that you would want to put on your face every day, find something else. That would be my top tips. All right, now let us get into a new segment that I'm going to be doing for this year, and that is the new K-beauty releases. So not to bombard you with too many products, but we have a lot of products launching all the time on Style Stories. So I thought this would be just a good opportunity to run you through some of the stuff that is new that you might want to keep an eye out for. So the first product on my list is Innisfree's Truecare Vitamin C 20 Ampoule. So a new release from Innisfree last year, and it's just landed in Australia. So Innisfree is using 20% pure vitamin C. That is a very high amount of vitamin C. If you are familiar with vitamin C, you will know what they're trying to do here. They have said is improve on the stickiness and oiliness of other vitamin C formulas on the market. And this product is perfect because of the concentration for people with age spots, sunspots, pigmentation, freckles, blemishes, post-acne marks, any of those things. This is going to be a really, really good product for you. It is a very high percentage of vitamin C. If you're new to vitamin C, if you have sensitivities, a damaged barrier or whatnot, steer clear of anything this high, I would say. Keep down to around 5% or under. But if you do have a hardier skin or you're not new to vitamin C's, you've been using them for a while, then this would be a good one to go in with. Now, the next two products I am super excited about, and that is because it is a Korean beauty brand playing around with one of these newer ingredients that is really, really trending at the moment, and that is Bakuchiol. So the brand is 23 years old, and they have a Bakuchiol A ampoule and a Bakuchiol A cream. So let's start with the ampoule. This is 30 mils. It's an what they're trying to do is they're targeting early anti-aging with this, they say. So they've made a product that they think will be really good for people in the early stages of looking into anti-aging skincare. So probably 20s, early 30s, this is going to be a great formula for you. And they're using Bakuchiol. You might have heard it referred to as a natural retinol alternative. And the reason people will say this is because it does many of the same things as retinol. So it helps improve skin brightness, it helps improve uneven skin tone, plumpness, it can help to minimize enlarged pores, boost firmness, smooth out texture, lessen the appearance of fine lines, lots and lots of good benefits, but it has less of a risk of irritating the skin. So that is one of the big ones with retinol generally, particularly for K-beauty. Koreans do tend to avoid products that have the potential to irritate the skin. So Bakuchiol is, a product that offers many of the same benefits of retinol. Now, look, there is not the same amount of study. There is not the same scientific data to back up all of the claims about Bakuchiol, and that's to be expected. It's a newer ingredient. Retinol has been the golden standard in anti-aging for many years. There have been so many studies commissioned, so many people looking into it. So it doesn't have the depth of data that retinol does. Let's be just clear about that. However, it shows a lot of promising, results for people. People are talking about it a lot. People are happy with the products they're using that have Bakuchiol in it. So I think this is a really interesting release from a K-beauty brand. Now, it is a vegan extract, obviously being a plant, and it comes naturally from the seeds of a plant that's name I'm going to totally butcher, Soralia coryllifolia plant, and that is Soralia with a P-S-O-R-A. So basically a plant extract is what we're talking about, and they've got it in both their ampoule and then also the cream, and the cream itself has a 4.9 out of 5-star rating on a lot of the top Korean language sites in Korea. So I would say these are two really good products to look into if you're getting a lot of comments about looking a bit tired and worn out. If you do have skin irritation, if you find retinol, Retrieve, all of those just way too much for your skin, these products have passed their skin irritation tests, and they're just a nice sort of natural alternative, I guess, a gentler, less irritating alternative to other products on the market. So they are two releases that I was really, really excited about. All three of those products are now up on stylestory.com.au now, so you can go and check them out. And that is all I have for this episode of the show. On Thursday, we are going to be continuing our deep dive. We're going to wrap up the Korean sunscreen scandal segment that we were doing from last year, and just have a bit of a look into that and sort of, where the industry is going with all of that this year. So that is for Thursday. If you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe to the podcast so that you are there in the feed ready when the next episode drops. And until then, I will see you on Style Story.